It's the year of the independent film. Great performances, new faces, I mean, really new faces. Who are you people? I'll tell you who they are. They're unbelievably talented people. Great films, unusual films, risky plots, great direction.
In the 1990s, an independent filmmaker from Milwaukee, Wisconsin by the name of Mark Borchardt was trying to get his passion project, entitled Northwestern, off the ground. Unfortunately, Northwestern was too ambitious for him to finish at the time, so in order to pull together the proper budget and resources to finish Northwestern, he resumed work on an unfinished project entitled Coven from 1996 through 1997. While Mark was working on both Northwestern and Coven, he met another filmmaker by the name of Chris Smith, and Chris thought that Mark and his production of Coven would make a very interesting subject for a new documentary film. That documentary film ended up becoming American Movie, released in 1999. Now personally, American Movie is one of my favorite documentaries that I've ever seen. I think it's both inspiring, it's funny, entertaining, but also kind of tragic in a way. One might look at American Movie and think that it's this quirky documentary about this odd filmmaker who just pours everything he has into making his movies because it's his dream and he loves it and he loves doing it, which is certainly a way to watch it. It's very entertaining. However, the core message of American Movie extends far beyond just the world of art. American Movie is highly reflective of the struggle that many face in pursuing the idea of the American dream. Things like Mark's finances and his geographical location and just the lack of good opportunities and resources to become a successful filmmaker are all major obstacles for him. However, he remains extremely persistent in making his films. The idea of the American dream varies from person to person, but its origins traces back from 1931 to an American author and historian by the name of James Truslow Adams. Adams was the one who originally coined the term American dream, and he stated this. But that's kind of long and boring, so to put it simply, he said, "The American dream is the dream in which life should be better and richer and fuller for everyone, with equal opportunity for each, according to ability or achievement, regardless of social or economic class." That's basically the gist. After watching American Movie, it's totally clear to see how those ideals are represented through Mark and his struggles while making Coven. From time to time in American Movie, Mark proclaims that he's going to be some famous filmmaker one day and he's going to have millions of dollars and everyone's going to be jealous of him, which sounds kind of snarky and arrogant, but ultimately it's optimistic because Mark's just working hard to follow his dreams and pursue the American dream. And it's that optimism that comes from American Movie that makes it really inspiring.
The American dream stays with me each and every day, and I'm glad we're doing this today because I was really getting down and out, and thank God they extended my phone bill till Friday and lowered it too. But anyway, so today, man, I'm just gonna go right back to work, man, so we can get, actually my house ain't gonna look like this, man. It's gonna be flatter, a lot flatter, less obnoxious than this.
First off, let's talk about Mark the person and not Mark the filmmaker for a moment. To say that he's a very interesting subject for the documentary is kind of an understatement. Throughout the documentary, he's shown making these seemingly philosophic statements about films and his worldview and how those affect his personal plight, but when you really think about what he's saying, he isn't really saying that much.
Why should you be successful while others are not? It's totally unchristian, man, to try to get ahead, because everyone's on an equal level playing field, an equal par. But you know what? I'm not a Christian.
However, he uses that to his advantage when he's making his films. And he really knows how to sell himself and how to get others to help him out, even when they know it's not really going to go anywhere for him. Now, Mark's friends and family don't really believe in him.
Always dreaming that someday, he will make a big movie.
Do you think he ever will?
I don't think so.
He wants to be somewhere where he's not. But then, don't most people want to be somewhere where they're not?
Even though they have these criticisms of Mark and his dreams to become a filmmaker, he still stays very passionate, which is something really to admire. However, that immense amount of passion also breeds naivete. He tries to make the best of his non-ideal geographical and financial situation by recruiting his family and friends to help him work on Coven. But that results in poor acting and problems during production.
Yeah, I mean, you've seen a lot of movies, haven't you?
Yeah,
And you basically know how to frame shots?
I guess. No, not really.
But I mean, if you would see an action, you would kind of like centrifugally focus on it being in the center.
Yeah, I can figure that out, yeah.
Just like I stated before, he claims that one day he's going to become a huge director and a millionaire, and he absolutely resents the idea of being an ordinary citizen who settles for a more simple career. But Mark is nowhere near the entertainment industry, doesn't have proper funding for his films, and has to work as a custodian for a cemetery in order to make ends meet. He has debt on top of debt piling up, and a really poor relationship with his family.
You fucking left me
I needed a break.
3 fucking years ago. Why are you...
Just fucking walk away. And I'm not...
American Movie is labeled as a documentary/comedy film, but you'll laugh at an aspect of the film, think about it for a little bit, and then realize, wait, this is actually kind of sad. There's an abundance of odd interactions between Mark and the people around him, along with a lot of failures in his filmmaking process that lead to some pretty entertaining moments.
Hey, Mike, make sure everyone has brown gloves.
Does everyone have brown gloves?
Oh, dude.
And I definitely laughed at Mark plenty of times, but at the end of the day, he's just trying so hard to dig himself out of this regretful life he lives while also trying to do what he loves, which is incredibly tragic. Presenting this side of him makes the audience care so much more for Mark because we can tell he has an abundance of problems in his life, and we're rooting for him because he's trying to make his situation better while following his dreams. But when you see how serious some of these problems really are, it makes you wish someone would have a talk with him and let Mark know that it's unrealistic to think this way.
I will never be like you. You fucking job working 40-hour motherfucker. You can go to fucking hell.
Yeah, it's a pity that he is. But tomorrow he will be okay again.
I'll be okay again. I'll be just like you, wandering around the kitchen just like you. Yeah, you're right.
One of the more sad parts of American Movie is when Mark is sitting in his car and he's reflecting on the problems that Coven has had and also his own personal problems. It's here that we see Mark in his most self-aware state, and it's really heartbreaking.
When I run this Bolex, that'll be the last take of Coven. Well, I guess no, I think everything actually makes sense. It's me alone, doing it. Sitting here in this car. I think as Joni put it, now you got nothing, so...
Mark is aware of his own problems, and deep down he knows that it's unlikely he's going to become so successful so quickly so that he can fix those problems. But he's just so trapped in pursuing this idea of the American dream. Mark's actions bring out these incredibly divisive opinions inside of you, because on one hand, you want to see Mark happy and successful, but that's highly unlikely. On the other hand, you want Mark to put all that down and focus on his well-being and personal relationships so that one day he'll find happiness in a more realistic way.
It's like you're the lone man on this, lone captain on this big-ass ocean liner, man, and it's like, God damn, I need people to cook the food, I need people to run the motors, I need people to make sure that we don't go into the rocks and so forth like that, and oh my God.
Just like Mark's struggle with trying to make it as a filmmaker, many Americans find themselves stacked up against all odds when trying to pursue their own idea of the American dream. At the end of American Movie, Mark has completed Coven and premiered it in front of an audience, and although he worked very hard on it, he's pretty much back from where he started in terms of his success. Additionally, Northwestern never got made. It still says it's in pre-production all over the internet, and it doesn't seem like it's ever going to get made anytime soon. However, after the success of American Movie, a lot of eyes were on Mark because he was just such a unique personality. So he made numerous TV appearances and appearances in other smaller films, and actually in 2017, he premiered a documentary at numerous film festivals across the country entitled The Dundee Project, which is about a UFO festival that takes place in Wisconsin. Now, this might not be what he ultimately wanted. He never really pursued his idea of the American dream or finished Northwestern. However, he's still involved with filmmaking 20 years after Coven and the release of American Movie. And I believe he actually learned a lot from American Movie. If you want to pursue your own idea of the American dream, you just gotta be realistic and understand that if you're both naive and overly ambitious, then you're probably not gonna get what you want.
I was a failure. And I get very sad and depressed about it, and I can't be that no more. Now I'm back to being Mark, who has a beer in his hand and is thinking about the great American script and the great American movie. And this time I cannot fail. I won't fail. It's not in me. This time it's most important not to fail, just to drink and dream, but rather to create and complete.